This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. See, table types are four types are available into the Snowflake. It is permanent, transient, temporary, and external tables. So external tables I will explain later. It will behave very differently. Mostly we are going to be use external tables on some sensitive data. Okay, so sensitive data means if you having any banking kind of information of any particular customer details, so client does not want to process with any third-party tools. In certain cases, we are going to be proceeded with the external tables. Okay. See, permanent tables to the Snowflake. Once if you have created any permanent table, the time travel detection period by default it is going to be enabled here. You can't able to disable it. See, and you can able to set it the detection period in the range of from 0 to 90 days. In between of these days, you can able to set it. See, the best recommended way was the either 7 days or 14 or 15 days. Max 15 days was the best recommended way. Okay, because of if you are setting it as a some retention period on particular table level, then day to day basis wise, the cost it is going to be charges from the Snowflake team. Okay, and file save it is going to be enabled by default on permanent table. We can't able to disable. Okay, it is an automatic feature. It is going to be enabled once you have created. So I will explain later this failsafe. And transient table means it will create some transient table. Only say how it is going to be work means say the time travel means that the retention period is going to be available either 0 or 1 day, not more than that. It is not going to be possible for these tables. And failsafe it is not going to be available for the transient table. By default, it will be in disabled mode. Failsafe it is not going to be enabled. And temporary table means, see, if you have created any temporary tables, and these temporary tables will be available in that particular session only. Or else if you log out and log into your Snowflake, this tables is not going to be exist. Means whatever the worksheet you have opened, if you have created any table in that specific worksheet, and if you have open new worksheet and try to access the table is not going to be available there. It will throw an error message. Means in the particular session, this temporary tables is going to be exist. Okay, this type of tables we are not going to be used either permanent or transient. See, transient where we can use it means in the case of if you are creating any staging tables in the first load from the files to if you are moving the data into your staging tables, the first layer of the tables, that layer we can call it as a staging layer. See, in staging layer, we are going to be maintain the tables as in the form of transient. Okay. See, and the fail safe. See, why we need to be use the fail safe means. See, we are seeing in the current environment like to be the apart from the cloud in the OLTP systems. If any fail it is happen on top of the environment, how we can able to recover the data? See, the data maybe backup it is happened to the last week Friday, but the system got failed on this Wednesday. Then how we can able to back up the remaining days means from Saturday till to the Wednesday, whatever the time period the system got failed. Before that, we need to be back up the data. See, to overcome that all these issues, by default, this failsafe was an automatic feature which is provided by the Snowflake itself. See, failsafe ensures that the historical data is protected in the event of a system failures. Means example, say if any system failure is happen onto the historical data, say then say like to be say system failure it is nothing but either the hardware failure or security breaches. Okay. In certain cases, the fail safe by default it is going to be enabled for the permanent tables for the 7 days of duration. See, by using that 7 days of duration, see whatever the data it may be available, those data we can able to retrieve it back with the help of from the Snowflake support team members. we can't directly go on to the particular table. We can't get it directly. We need to be raise a request to the Snowflake support, and we need to be work closely with that support team members to retrieve this data. See, failsafe when it is going to be come into the picture means after completion of your time travel duration. Okay. See, I will explain later the time travel how we can able to set it onto the database level, schema level, and table level. First, I will create some database here to show about the tables. Create database name. Whatever the database you want, you can keep it. So I'm creating it as a table types. Okay. See, database was successfully created, and if you go into the database, the table types database was mapped here. See, I selected database as a table types. So then again, I'm creating one more schema here. We create schema name. The schema is created. See, it was mapped here. See, instead of one schema to another schema, if it was mapped here, but if you don't have the UI access, then you can use this command, use whatever the schema name. So now if you are seeing here under the table types as a database name, schema was selected as a public, but you need to be table ty underscore schema. Then you can use schema name. Use schema name. See, statement executed successfully. See, your schema was mapped here now. Means instead of old schema, now it was updated with your existing schema details. Okay. See, first I will create some tables here. See, with the permanent, transient, this type of temporary tables I will create it. Then later part I will jump onto the detection time period. Okay. If you are seeing, I'm using show tables as a command. See, under this database, under this schema, see, there is a no tables as of now, it was not created. Okay. So if you want to see list of what are the tables was existing into the particular database under the particular schema, you can use the command as a show tables. Okay. See, if you want to create the permanent tables, see, create as it our same syntax only, create table. So I'm making it as a emp underscore permanent. See here I'm going to be provided as a two columns, employee number, number of 4, name, type care of 10, So I'm going to be execute this command. So table is created. See, if you are using the show tables, so observe here. See, into the show tables, see created date. What will be the name? See, kind of the table. See what is the kind of the table? Kind, it is nothing but see what table it is going to be referred. Okay. So and the database name and the schema name details also it is going to be available. See, detention time I have not set out here. By default, it was showing detention time as 1. See, this is the default behavior for the permanent tables. See, either permanent or see, then I will show you the transient table as well. So this is the default behavior. If you are not set the detection time period while creating the table, okay, by default it is going to be assigned as a 1 day of duration. Say detection time, it is going to be referred one as a 1 day. In the form of days, it is going to be displayed here. Okay. While creating the transient or temporary tables, you need to be use explicitly the command create transient, then the table, then you need to be provide a table name. Here instead of table name emp underscore, I will make it as a trans. Okay, I will create with the same structure. Similarly, for temporary table also create it. Temporary. If you are not using for transient and temporary these commands, then it is going to be created as a permanent tables only. Okay. If you're creating these tables, so it was created. See, so then I'm run the show tables command. So you can observe. See, 3 tables are created. See, 3 tables are created. If you're seeing the names, see employee emp underscore permanent, emp underscore temporary, emp underscore transient. Okay. See, if you're seeing temporary table, the kind was the temporary. On transient, it has a kind as a transient. See, for the permanent table, it has a kind as a table as a kind as a table. Okay, and if you observe the retention time period for all the 3 tables, it will have a retention period duration as a 1 day by default. Okay, see, retention time period means it is nothing but the your time travel. By default, it is going to be allocated as a 1 day if you are not mentioned here. Okay. Similarly, if you want to insert the data into this table, we can insert it in the same way. See, earlier we have used the insert command, right? The same way you can insert it. Okay. See, now the temporary table we have created here. See, now I am navigating to some other worksheet. See, emp underscore temporary table does not exist or not authorized. If you move to here and run the same command, I choose the same database and same schema here as well. It is going to be available within this section only. If section is varying, then this thing it is not going to be support. See, table was existing here, but if I am moving into some other worksheet, this temporary table is not going to be available. Similarly, if you log out and If you are trying the same query into the same worksheet, then also it is not going to be support. Means then also it is going to throw an error message. Until in that particular session only it is going to be support. Okay, this is clear, right? The table types. If you want, you can insert the data by using an insert statement. Okay, so if you are clear, then I will jump on to the transient things. So any doubts up to here?
Yes, Chandra. So retention time means suppose that I created the one table, so it is
Hmm.
available for that one day only, or that next day it is also available.
See, for n number of tables, we can able to declare the retention time period. I will show you that thing. The retention period we can declare on database level and schema level and table levels as well. It is not a restricted things, and overall like to be the database level. If you are not mentioning anything retention time period, then by default it is going to be considered as a one. That is how it was reflecting to the table as well. Now if you're seeing now into the show tables, if you are not mentioned any retention period now on any table, see now it was displaying for all the tables as a one. But for permanent tables, we can able to set it either 0 to the 90 days of period. I will show you with the examples that thing, retention time period.
Okay.
For time being, I'm going to be drop these tables, or else I will create the new database and from there I will come. While creating the database, here also you can able to set it the your retention time period on top of the database as well. Okay, so that is at possible level. See, first I will go ahead with the table levels, then I will come with some. I will okay. Okay. See, I will pick it two tables here. See, first one as a so the permanent table, MP underscore permanent. So I will create it under the same database as a time travel. Schema name was the say underscore time travel. Okay. See, if you are creating like this, see while creating the table itself, you can able to set it the your retention time period. See, that is how we can able to set it means after completion of your column name details. Okay, then after that you can provide the retention time things here. See, that is how we need to be provide means that is data underscore retention underscore time in days. It is how many days you need to be set it, we can provide it here. For the permanent tables, it is going to be support with the up to the 90 days. Once your retention time period is completed, then only your failsafe it is going to be activated immediately. So if you set it as a 20 days here, okay, I'm going to create the table here with the retention period of 20 days. See, table was created. Now tables. Your retention period was set it through the 20 days. Okay. See, now for example, if you inserted some data into this table, and unexpectedly if you deleted the data, so if you deleted the data within this time, that is retention time period, within this 20 days of duration, we can able to undo it with the entire the whole data sets. By default it will be the 1 day. After completion of 1 day, if you are trying to undo it, you can't able to undo the operation. If you set it for the 20 days, say the 10th day or 11th day, if you are unexpectedly if you drop this table, and if you want to get back after 2 days or 3 days, like if you're seeing, then you can perform the undo operation, then you can able to retrieve along with the table with the data. That is how it is going to be support. See, two records was inserted to this table. Now if you're querying this data, these two records will be available into this table with these two columns. Apart from nothing, it is not going to display here. But if you are moving to the table wise level, show tables, there the retention period is going to be displayed. Okay, say this many of days, if you say in this particular retention time period, if you drop the table within this duration of retention time, we can able to undo the operations. Okay, so in the first session or second session, I have shown you with along with the skill of undropping the table. So if you drop the table, we can able to undrop it, because at the time I have created the permanent table only. See, create table employee so and so columns. So on the same day I have dropped it, and immediately after 2 or 3 minutes after the time, I have undo it the operation by using the undrop. Okay, that is the reason it was going to be support. By default, it will have as a 1 day of retention time period. So if we retention time period is completed, then you can't able to undo the operations onto the permanent tables. Then we need to be proceeded with the fail-safe approach. Immediately your retention time period is completed, then immediately fail-safe it is going to be activated. Okay, in the backend. If you want to recover from the fail-safe, then we need to be approach the corresponding team we need to be approached. That is like to be the Snowflake support team we need to be approached. Or else, see, if you drop the table, but whatever the data was existing in that particular time period, we can able to achieve by using the time travel. That thing I will explain later. Once this thing is completed, I will explain with the time travel. Okay. So this was clear, right? The date retention time period. See, this is how we can able to set it. See, data retention time in days equal to 20. If you want, you can set it to the 90 days as well. Up to 90 days, it is going to be support. See, the same thing. If you are trying to create, what are the things I have explained earlier, like the table types. On the table types, if you are trying to create it, see, either with the transient or temporary tables. See, here I am going to make it as a create transient. Create transient table. The data underscore retention time period was at 20. But by default, see, data retention time period for the transient tables, it is going to be support with the 1 day. See, SQL compilation error. For the parameter data for parameter data retention time in days. See, because why, if you observe means, see, if you set it this particular parameter only, it is not going to be support. Okay. See, here we don't want to provide this thing. Without this thing, if you have created the table, by default it is going to be allocated with the 1 day of the data retention time period. Okay. So if you are seeing here now, see, transient table have as a 1 day. Okay. See, this data retention time in days, this particular parameter is going to support only with the permanent tables. It is not going to be support with the either transient or temporary table. Okay. See, this was clear, or do you have any doubts? See, if you are clear with the onto the this thing, then I will go ahead with the schema level, how to set it the data retention time. Date schema. I'm setting it as a data retention as a 20 days for this particular schema. Okay. And if I'm creating it, create schema name with the data retention time. See, schema is created successfully. Okay. Now test underscore schema was selected here. See, if you are creating any table here under this schema, create table apt of, I'm creating some column names as a number of 2 and name as a care of that, and try to create this table under this thing. So I'm not providing any data retention time period for this specific table, because why means I need to be show some differences. See, if I created the data retention time period on schema level, and if you are not created on table level, then how it is going to be behave. See, table was created successfully. Let's check the show tables. See, DEPT name, see, with the schema name, test underscore schema. See, what will be retention time period? See, 20 days. See, detection time was displaying with the 20 days. See, if you observe, the same 20 days I provided onto the schema level, not onto the table level. So on table level, detection time period are not declared. Means with the detection period on table I have not created, but on schema level I have created. Okay, so the meaning is like to be the, if you are not creating on table level, and if you are providing some detention time period on schema level, and if you are not mentioning your table level, then by default, what will be the retention time period on your schema? It is going to be applicable for all your tables. One more table. Okay, just created, and check this table as well. See, retention time period for the test table as well with the 20. Similarly, I have created some transient table here. So if you are creating one more transient table here, okay, transient table is created, and if you want, you can view it the show tables command by using show tables. See, the transient was emp underscore transient. See, if you are using the command as a transient while creating the table, by default the retention time it is going to be created with the 1. Okay, see, this is the one differences. See, now into the schema, so I'm going to be create with the retention time period. It was created, it is created. So I'm creating with the name of student. To show the differences, so first I created with the schema with the retention time period, then with the tables I have not created with the retention time period. Then whatever the retention period, it is available with the schema, the same retention period it was displaying for tables, for all the permanent tables. Okay, so SID as a number, giving it as a 2. See, then I'm going to be declared here as a retention time period. So instead of 20, see, for this schema level provide it as a 20. See, here I'm going to be provide it as a 10. The retention time period as a, I'm going to provide it as 7 days of duration. Okay. Then you can run it this query. You need to be observe. See, either this table level it is going to be reflect into as a 7 days of retention period or 20 days period is going to be considered. Okay. See, the query was executed successfully. Table student is created. Go to the show tables. See, observe for the student record. See, what is the retention period was considered here? It is 7 days. See, whatever the table level you are providing the retention period, that period it is going to be reflect. See, if you created a database with some retention period as 60 days, and if you created as a schema level retention period of 30 days, and again if you created a retention period on table level like to be 7 days, then it will consider as a table level. Okay, if you are not set it the retention period table level, then it is going to be considered schema level. If you are not set it the retention period as a table or schema level, if you set it on DB level, then it is going to be considered for all the tables with the retention period of whatever the set it the value on DB level, the same value it is going to be reflect. So whether it was clear? So I will show you the DB as well. I will create one more separate database, then I will show you. This was clear. Any doubts up to here?
Yes, table level retention is greater than schema level. Suppose that
Sorry.
create a one table. I create a one table, okay, and
Hmm.
retention time is 21, but schema
Hmm.
is a 20. So can I create to this one?
Yes. Greater than also you can able to create. Say I taken an example as a less than here. So if you want, I set it the greater than as well. Greater than the schema retention period, then the same value it is going to be picked. Here I'm going to create with the student 1. So retention period with the as per you 22 days is greater than the schema value. Schema having as a retention of 20 days. Now I'm providing it as a 22 days onto the table level. So it will pick the 22 days.
So it will be applicable for 20 days or 22 days?
22 days it will be applicable for the student 1 table.
Even the
Whatever the
schema is
retention
applicable.
period, yeah, whatever the retention period going to be set it on the table level, that thing only it is going to be applicable. So if you observe the student 1, so it will have as 22. See if you have created means what I am explaining earlier in the case. See database you have created, okay, with some retention time period as a 40 days, okay, and again you have created the schema with retention period as a some 30 days or 20 days, and again you have created with the table and you set it as some retention period, okay, you set it as a some 10 days. The table is going to be considered this value only. If you are not set it your retention period on table level, then it is going to be considered schema value as a retention period. If you know schema also, if you are not set it the retention period, then if you set it on database level, then it is going to be considered that your database retention time period.
Okay.
This was clear?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. See, on all the 3 levels we can able to set it the retentions. Okay, can I start the time travel or do you want to be stop here?